Welcome, everybody, to the weekly Probate Mastery Group coaching call and the Estate Professionals Mastermind. Lots of familiar faces here today. I don't really have anything to get us kicked off, so we'll just jump to how can I help you? What can I do for anyone? Anybody have anything they want to share? Any wins, any losses, any challenges you need to overcome?
Chad, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
This is when you approach an attorney, you go to their office to get a meeting with them, and you're there to talk about your marketing that you want to do and have them involved in it. Are we asking them to, well, yeah, they'd have to provide their part of the marketing, right?
Yeah,
That
so
we can put it on there.
the most common piece that we co-develop with them is like a probate checklist or a probate timeline. And the reason you have a good excuse to be asking an attorney to help you with your marketing is that we have 3,149 counties and four different court jurisdictions that across the country that handle probate. So there's a lot of, like, for example, Josh Foster's here and he's in Louisiana. So they have parishes, not counties. I think you guys have Chancery Court. It's good. And like I know in Tennessee, it goes through Chancery Court. There's very little consistency across the country. So for me to try to say, here's a probate checklist that'll work in your market is nearly impossible. I've tried it for almost 6 years and there's just nuances. Like someone in California will have a massive checklist compared to somebody in Iowa. So it's a good excuse to sit down and get a hyper relevant checklist to that market. And it doesn't show poorly on you because you're just making sure that you cover all the bases. So you could even have it pre-filled, like the non-legal aspects, such as locate the will, locate the utility bills, things like that, no matter how small they are. And then with the attorney, just say, hey, from the date of death until the probate closing and final distribution, can you please walk me through each of the legal aspects? Those will be a different color than the ones I've already got listed here. And then at the footer of the page, your company your firm information will be in the same color as the legal checklists or the legal points on a timeline. So that's the piece that's most commonly co-designed with an attorney because you get two things, you get multiple things from it. One, you really get to fill your blind spots and make sure you really fully understand the legal process in your market. Two, you show them a non-solicitation loophole, which creates a strong relationship or solidifies an existing relationship. Three, you're putting something valuable. It's an actual valuable piece of your marketing that lands in the hands of the family. Like they've been talked to by the probate clerk, the probate attorney. They may have read a book or done some Googling, but they don't fully have their head wrapped around the probate process either. So it's unlikely anyone else has handed them like a literally step-by-step list. One of the things we're actually working on providing for you guys is a piece of software that does that. So you can imagine attorneys have software on the firm side that they use to manage all of the different cases they're working. There's a company that provides software for on the consumer side that basically has all of these checklists. They have actually done the work and gone through over 3,000 counties and done this with attorneys. So where we're headed is as we move to more of a community model than just a single course, what I'm very, very interested in doing, and we've already, the CEO and I have already agreed on a white label relationship. We just have to figure out all the logistics and how it gets through to you guys. But what I'm ultimately looking to do is provide that piece of software to you to provide to your prospects. And there's even the potential that we could have the attorney sponsored within that software platform. So you could take that a step further and say, Mr. Attorney, if you'll sit down and design this with me, we'll make sure that my version of this software matches what the checklist that we co-develop. And then eventually we'll actually display your information on the electronic version of this checklist when we offer them a free trial into this software. So that's kind of the next version of this, is rather than just telling you to go out and make a checklist with an attorney, will hopefully your membership in the community will actually include the software that matches that, and you can make that offer to every prospect. So imagine sending a postcard that said there are a lot of steps in settling an estate. Step one is getting organized. Click here or go to this URL to access our free tool so you can get the estate organized from the beginning and reduce stress and make it a faster process. So that's where it could be going, or it's I think it's going, as we'll take the exercise you did with the attorney, we'll apply that in the software, and then you push that out to your consumer through direct mail and through email or Facebook marketing, however you reach them digitally.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Other ideas. So Deborah, I mean, that's one like in-person idea that you can execute on in a day. Other ideas would be inviting that attorney to be part of your weekly call. That's part of your community Facebook group. So if you start the Dallas Family Transitions Facebook group, and then you get that you walk in and say, listen, I'm looking for experienced and trustworthy estate planning and probate attorneys to actually be an admin in a community Facebook group that I'm building. And every Wednesday night, we'll have an expert that is dealing with people, with families in transition. And you can decide how big that gets. You could do divorce, you could do trust, you could do probate, you could do all the above. You could do elder care. Like you could have a ton, like, I mean, ideally, you want to do all of those things. So you're appealing to all humans in transition. And eventually we all come up with, we all find ourselves in a probate or a death of probate or trust or situation. So that's the other offer would be you could approach these attorneys and interview them to be the expert in your community Facebook group. Now, that's longer term. That's not something that you're going to accomplish in a day, put into a letter and be using tomorrow. But over a 2 to 4 week period, you can absolutely have that attorney in front of a captive audience. And that's what they're used to. So they're not unlike us. They're unemployed every day. They have to go find their next deal. However, they have restrictions on how they can find that deal. So historically, they have relied on referrals predominantly, but their marketing is just broadcast marketing. It's a radio commercial, or it's a seminar at the Holiday Inn on Tuesday night at 7 p.m. every month, in and out for the last 10 years of their life. So you can give them kind of a virtual platform where they can not have to have a seminar and catering and rent hotel space and these things. And that's something I find a lot of attorneys, they don't have the time to sit down and put these inbound marketing strategies in place. So we can invite them to be an admin in this group instead of having to reinvent the wheel. We just give them an opportunity to step in, do their part as an expert, and we do the rest. So that's another really strong value point, something very valuable that you can do for them and execute on for low cost or no cost. But it's very high value to the consumer as well.
Boy, that sounds great too. I like that.
And I've got a mini course trapped in my head. It's probably a 2 to 3 hour course on exactly how to do that. That's something we're working toward probably in the next few weeks, is getting that course out to you guys. So how to build a community Facebook group to attract referral partners as well as prospects.
Okay.
Hey, Jerry,
Hey,
how can we help you?
I seem to remember in relation to mailings, I seem to remember a video probably a few years back that you did with all the leads about an initial mailing and a lumpy mail, that sort of thing. You suggested, I think, having blue pen with maybe your logo on it type of thing. And I was curious if that's something, what your results were with that, and whether it's something you would suggest practicing today or not.
So those are actually Frank Patrick's mail pieces. He's been using that for years, and Frank and I we're friends, and we're actually looking at he and I, we spoke last week. We're looking at doing some collaboration. So Frank he had a lot of success with lumpy mail. For anyone who's not familiar with that, you take a lightweight object that makes the envelope kind of stand out. The challenge I have with it is your mail cost is so high, and there's so much competition in the mailbox right now. So as much as I respect Frank and the work he's doing and has done, it doesn't work for me because it's the fulfillment at best is about $13 for 4 letters. And we can accomplish that for $6. And we can send the same letters if they're flat envelope. So for me, it's more about differentiating yourself through copy and making sure it gets read. The lumpy mail is to make sure it gets opened. What I do to make sure it gets opened is I use a greeting card envelope, usually in pastels, blue ink, handwritten font, and I usually leave the return address off of it. And what I find is, I mean, you can never prove exactly how much of your mail was opened, but I've had those come list me calls 2 years down the line from people who I thought always threw my mail away. But the mail is the majority of those types of letters are being open. So there it comes down to copywriting. Like, is your letter different enough that you're not perceived as everyone else? And is it compelling enough that they will save it or actually take an action and reach out to you, join a Facebook community, get on your calendar, call you directly, go to your website, any of those things. So for me, in this current environment, I think the market has shifted. Direct mail has become very competitive, especially in the probate space. I don't see $13 to $18 in value for 3 or 4 letters. There's just other ways where you can spend that time and energy and get a better result.
Okay.
If anyone feels differently, if you have unique mail pieces that are doing way better than just a standard letter and a greeting card envelope, please share.
Hey, Chad. How's it going?
Hey, good. How are you?
Fine. So I was just kind of wondering if you could like dumb down the process of like how it works. Like if somebody wants to sell before probate's finished, I know there's like kind of some nuance in there. I was wondering if you just like clarify that for me, like a little.
So it's only possible to sell before probate is over when the property is in the name of the decedent. It has to be sold inside of probate. If it doesn't sell inside of probate, then it will transfer to the heirs, and then it can be sold with the heir's name on title.
Gotcha.
Every state, not every state, there are a variety of different ways it's done. In some states, court confirmation is required or court approval is required to sell the asset. California is the most complicated. California and Hawaii and Nevada are probably the 3 most complicated states. Bill Gross, he's like, it's simple. But for those of us in the easy states where you simply, the heirs can do what they want, like here in Virginia, we would, I mean, if somebody passed away yesterday, they got the letters, they petitioned the court and got the letters of testamentary today, we can sell that house. We can go to a purchase agreement and even to closing this week. We don't need court approval. We don't need anything. We just need to connect the chain of title and make sure we can convey title clearly and sell it. In Florida is kind of a good example of that next level of complexity. In Florida, you can put the house on the market as soon as you have letters testamentary. They can sign a listing agreement. They can sign a purchase agreement. But then we have to wait for the next court session to happen. We submit the contract, sometimes with evaluation, to the court. The court approves the sale or disapproves, which almost never happens. The only time it's disapproved is if it's just blatant misrepresentation and intimidation from whoever the purchaser to the family. Very rare that it's rejected. I've seen houses bought at 25 cents on the dollar in Florida, and the judge had no problem with the valuation because he felt like it was a transparent deal and being done with integrity. The next step up would be California is a good example of that. So when the letters testamentary are issued, then they have the authority to list property, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're allowed to sell it at the price they agree to, so in those states you have what's known as limited authority and full authority. By default, unless you petition the court to have full authority, by default, the letters will be issued with limited authority. Now, what that means for real estate is you get the purchase agreement and you list it, you get the purchase agreement in your hand, then you take that to the probate attorney. And this is where it becomes really difficult. And this is what Bill Gross has really mastered. And it's easy for him and Renee, like they live with this. This is their version of it. But for most of us, it's like, oh gosh, because that's what starts the overbid process. So the court orders a referee, which is basically a BPO. And that referee will get a valuation for the court, a neutral third-party valuation that comes back to the court, and then they have an overbid. So they'll actually call for the public to overbid the current purchase agreement price by at least 10%. And at that point, it's similar to a trustee sale. You have to have a cashier check for a 10% down payment, and you have, I believe, 30 days to actually fund the whole deal. But your buyer, like if you're the buyer in a state like that, you can actually be overbid. It's uncommon. Like if you have full authority, none of that applies. It's a lot more like Virginia. So with full authority, they can make decisions and proceed without court approval. So it's state by state by state. You're in Boston? You're in Mass?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I haven't done a whole lot of these in Massachusetts, but that's the kind of thing like you want to drill into. I encouraged Bill Gross 4 or 5 years ago, go visit the probate clerk, go sit in on a session of probate court, and go meet a probate attorney in your market. And this will fill in your blind spots. The same thing as you know, we began this conversation with Deborah talking about the checklist or the timeline. That would be a really good thing for you to do, is approach an attorney with that offer. Hey, I'm already incurring the cost to market to every family in probate in our county every month. If you could help me really fill my blind spots and create a checklist with legal and non-legal aspects, then I'll make sure you're included in every letter I send. That'll be a great way for you to fill in your blind spots. So do the attorney first, then go introduce yourself to the probate clerk, ask her to walk you through the process as a petitioner, ask her to take you to the records room so you understand where that data comes from. Don't get in the habit of gathering it yourself, but it's good while you're there. It's good to know how to pull the data. And then when you have time, look at the court dockets and actually go attend a probate court and get a feel for what's happening in your market specifically. What's going to come from this for you will be a level of confidence that none of your competitors have. It's highly unlikely anyone else has done that. You'll have a personal relationship with an attorney. You'll have a personal relationship with a probate clerk, and you have people that you can reach out to if you feel stuck, or if you have a blind spot, or if you just need to connect somebody to get something done quickly. And in the case of Bill Gross, he took this challenge years ago, went to court, and he developed kind of a very unique model where he was able to earn a heck of a lot of business because he kept going to court. He made it a habit. He went on a regular basis. So he developed a reputation in that courtroom, and people were used to seeing him and eventually came to him for help. Sometimes they were heirs, sometimes they were attorneys. So you never know what might come from that. But if you're not 100% certain on the process in your market, that's something you could have at least 2 of those pieces you could have done by the end of the week. You can go meet with an attorney and co-design that checklist, and you can go set up an appointment and do a walkthrough as a petitioner with your local probate clerk. And I think if you do those 2 things, that's the advice I'm giving you is it's what I'd made myself do. I didn't want to do it. I was intimidated. I didn't want to look stupid. And I'm sure I probably did, but I pushed myself out of my comfort zone and I learned very quickly. And it literally it wasn't contentious. It was easy. They're public employees. It's their obligation to serve you as a taxpayer, right? So it's no secret process, and it's not a room you're not allowed to be in. But that little voice kept me from doing it for a bit, maybe 3 or 4 days. And finally I just woke up, put on a jacket and went to the courthouse. And I learned so much. Like, it was like, oh, well, I'm not intimidated by this anymore. It's not that complicated. So by the end of the week, you could just put that behind you and have a new level of confidence if you do those things. And Bill, if you have any advice, if you want to add anything, please do.
Well, I would just from a motivation point, say you kind of discussed this when I took Probate Mastery 3 years ago, when I was really relaunching my business. And at the time I was 60 years old, and pre-pandemic, my options were cold calling 3 hours a day or door knocking 3 hours a day. You challenged us to go to court. I went one day just to learn what I was going to be involved with. It was fascinating. I went back a second day and a third, and I came back at the end of the week and wrote a business plan, and I made my lead generation going to court every day. Now, I'm in LA, which is the largest court in the United States, and we have 9 different courtrooms. Smaller areas don't have as much as we had. I also have more competition too, though. I would just say it was certainly amazing learning experience, and took away a lot of the mystery of the process. And I would urge anybody involved to, whether you never want to go to court again and you want to just list or sell property in the probate space, to know those mechanics is very empowering. So I thank you for that all the time. But that's really the one thing that launched my business with.
Yep. And Ryan Terry had some feedback. One of the things we talked about, limited authority versus full authority. When we're operating at our highest level of service, we should never have a client that has to go through the process with limited authority. We can work, like in California, if you understand that process, you can work with the attorneys. Like John Fraker hasn't been here for a couple of weeks. He's in Northern California. He's, I think, in year 27 of his legal career in probate. He's never, ever had a family go through probate with limited authority, because one of his checklist steps is petition the court for full authority, get that power back to the family, let them make their own decisions, and make the process way more efficient. So you'll find that's one of the things Terry said that he's done. I see he had to take a call, so I was speaking for him. But anyways, there's like by understanding the finer points and the mechanics of Bill put it of your local probate process in there, you'll find opportunities. So in California, a really compelling offer is, hey, why don't we bring the control of this estate back into your family by helping you be with the right attorney to get full authority to make this a more efficient process. And that's something you can legitimately offer in California. Massachusetts, I'm not exactly sure. I would be curious if you take the challenge and you go do this, I'd love for you to come back and share what the result was and what you learned and help inspire others to do the same. Because as much as I wish all 5,000 people who are part of this community have been through this, as much as I wish they would have all done what Bill Gross has done, I would say less than 10% ever have. Because it's intimidating. It's easy to put aside. It's easy to say, I'll do that next week. I'll do that next month. And most people never make it. So if you take a challenge and you go do that this week between now and the next call, I'd love for you to report back and share your results like Bill has in this community so many times.
If I could add something to that, Chad, I took it so seriously that I actually started a meetup at the court because so many people would ask me about it. They would say, oh, that sounds great. I'd like to come too. So a couple days a week, because I was going every day, I set up a meetup at the court to meet where I would show them the room and the research room and the process. And then afterwards do a little huddle, explain what happened. And it was just a way to meet investors and realtors and so on. And people see me all the time. Oh my gosh, it's downtown LA. It's so far. Yeah, it's downtown LA. Oh, it costs a lot to park. Yeah, it costs a lot to park there. It's 8:30 in the morning. You have to be there at 8:15. Yeah, it's early in the morning. You got to get there. But it was amazing how few people that signed up would actually show up. I wasn't selling it, so I didn't really care. I was being of service. But to me, as an entrepreneur, we get paid to solve problems. If we do things other people won't do, that's where the money is. So I didn't avoid that because it was hard. I knew there was less competition. That's why I went there. So in general, that's been my experience in this whole world of probate is looking where there's problems and trying to solve them.
Absolutely. Yeah. That sounds like a good next step for me. I'm always looking for like an actionable thing for me to do. And I don't think I'll have a problem getting that done within a week. So I appreciate it.
That's awesome, man. Look forward to hearing your report, Ryan. Unfortunately, I would love to strap a camera to you to take into a courthouse. We don't have that luxury in my courthouse. Like you leave your cell phone in the truck or you go back to the truck. Like you don't get through with any electronics. So
Hey, Chad.
yes, sir.
Chad, a follow up to Bill. I was just curious, Bill, when you went to the courthouse, how did you meet attorneys and get in that circle?
I get asked this a lot. I say, just go and figure it out. I mean, and everyone's a little different. In LA County, the 8:30 court was the most crowded. They kind of run through the calendar of the day, but I get there at 7:45, buy a cup of coffee and stand there in the most populated area. And anybody who was there early was going to kill time anyhow. So if you're an attorney and you're driving, let's say from Orange County, which is an hour away, but you don't know traffic, so you get there early, what else are you going to do but talk to me? And I'm a real estate agent. I'm in the meet the people business. So I'd say, hi, I'm Bill Gross. I'm a real estate broker, specialized in probate. Probate. Are you here as an attorney? If they're dressed like an attorney, are you an attorney here? Yeah, great. Where are you from? I would just ask questions and just try to meet people. It really wasn't complicated. And then when it broke up around 9:30, 10:30, I go to the research room and look up different cases. But while I was there, I was meeting people and just being a friendly guy. So it really wasn't much different than door knocking. I was there to meet people. Now I did in the courtroom listen for leads, deals that fell apart, and I would maybe text the attorney or email the attorney from the courtroom about a case and offer to help them. And I got a couple of leads as a result of that. And I can explain it to you. It's an hour-long, discussion. But I was just in the right place. It's kind of like standing in traffic and getting hit by a car. That's just where I wanted to be. There's deals going on, and I was there. So it may be different in other counties, but I would check it. I don't know where you are, Kevin, but I would just check it out in your county and just see what's there and how many people, what days are most populated, and be there on those days.
I'd take that a step further and point you guys back. We in the course in session 2, where we talk about, I think it's in session 2, we talk about building your referral or building your team. It's during that part of session 2 one of the first things I did when I came to this brand new market and I had no experience in residential real estate, I started going to every trustee sale or foreclosure auction. And that's where I met a lot of cash buyers, but I also got to know the substitute trustees. And it's no different in most areas. Like the majority of foreclosure cases will come through a handful of substitute trustees. And once you get to know them, if you need information quickly on an asset, you have a direct relationship with the guy who's there every Tuesday at 3 o'clock doing that auction. You can call and be like, hey, Sam, in this market, it was a law firm all the way over in Norfolk that came here once a week to run the foreclosure auctions. But if I reference this deal often, the deal that I closed in 2.5 hours end to end with a deed in my hand, had I not had that relationship with Sam White, I wouldn't have been able to get the information I needed as quickly as I did to be able to buy a house in 2.5 hours. So there's other things like what Bill's saying is show up and just see what works. You can do this in divorce. You can do it in probate. You can do it in REO. You can do it in code violations. While you're at the courthouse, just like he said, he was already there. He'd already gone through the pain of getting up early, driving through traffic, getting there, going through security. Why not make the most of your time there? Why not go to the records room? Why not drop by and give the clerks a dozen donuts and get that recognition so they could see you? So when I went to the courthouse the very first time, I actually went to Starbucks and got one of those like office size boxes of coffee and a stack of cups. And I came through the front door handing out coffee and smiles until I was sitting in front of Kim Simmons, the probate clerk. And they just, and every time I walked in that office, they're like, oh, Chad, you still doing this. You still helping families in pro. So there's no rule book or anything. Just go and be yourself and try to provide value to everyone you encounter, but also get the most out of it. Like you're stepping out of your comfort zone, going down there, taking time out of your day, see what all you can learn. Pull a foreclosure record, pull a probate record, see if you can pull a divorce record. Like do some research while you're at your courthouse and you'll feel less intimidated about all those things just by spending one day on a field trip. So, and Kevin, it's good to see you, brother. We haven't spoken in months and months, maybe a year.
I'm still alive.
Good to see you.
You too.
Zach, you have your hand up patiently. How can we help you today?
I just wanted to take a second and say thank you for last week. Linked up with Hollywood, who is not sitting in her chair right now, but she's already making calls and helping out. So thank you very much. Very nice contact.
Yeah. And
looking forward to sharing a little more success.
Very poorly timed, Renee. Well, that's great. So if you don't mind sharing, and you don't have to, I'm putting you on the spot, but I mean, what's the agreement between you guys? Is it a referral agreement or a fee-based agreement or?
So it would be a referral based agreement. We didn't finalize a percentage or dollar. We kind of talked about numbers and I think we're right there with each other. It was more just looking to make sure on her end, there was a little concern that the quality of the numbers. And on my end, I'm just kind of like a trusting guy, I guess. You endorsed her. She called me right away. She jumped on it. Those things are all very positive in my book. So it sounds like we may have a few things kind of in the works already. So.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, yes. And that's the beautiful thing about this community. How many times have you guys ever seen anyone in this community, like of all the thousands of people that are in our groups, how many people have seen a poison pen comment? Like even one? Like how many of anyone's have you seen criticisms or tear downs in this group? So we've got the reason I'm so trusting and like say, yes, I endorse Renee is we've got a culture here that's pretty damn rare to be in a virtual environment. So it was really nice to see that come together last week. And I mean, Elle made this a private message to me on this call, but Elle is now connected with the attorney that I interviewed a few weeks ago in South Florida. So like actually using this as a community, it's really nice to see that. And we can trust each other. We all do kind of subscribe to the same set of values. So I'm not worried. You guys will figure it out. And I'm glad that you took action. And I always tell people it's easier to steer a moving truck. So once you get it moving, then it's much easier to actually determine the direction of that and see where it goes. So I think you found a good solution and I'm confident you guys will come to a fair compensation. Just like I've said to others, like when you guys get it worked out, it'd be awesome if we can maybe even do an interview and say, here's what it looks like if you need to call in help from your community, not bringing somebody brand new in and training them and trying to get them up to speed, but we all find at times we have our dry spells or we're on the low end of the cash flow roller coaster. So it would be really nice to capture that experience as this takes shape for you guys to kind of say, we didn't know what we were doing, but here's how we did it. There's probably a lot of other people watching this that could do the same, that could actually get to their leads versus not getting to their leads by partnering with somebody out of market or potentially even in market. So if you don't mind, maybe we can do a follow-up on that.
Absolutely.
Dave Gwynn, if you would have been in class last week, you would know what the hell we're talking about. So Zach is killing it down in South Florida. And I think you had, what'd you say, 18 transaction sides or 18 probate deals last year, but he's only getting to 10% of his leads. So Renee agreed to actually do his prospecting what he's not getting to, because you did 71 deals altogether last year, Zach, was that right? Or 81?
84.
84. I got to get my numbers straight. So he did 84. So he's got, obviously he's got a busy business. So he was marketing, he was getting the mail out, but not getting the calls out to 90% of his list. And Zach, I don't know if you know Dave Gwynn, he's in Colorado working Florida market. He's working Denver and Florida. He's been doing virtual business and probate in Florida as well. And I think when you started, Dave, you didn't know the damn thing about Florida, did you? Like you just kind of.
I really just been there to visit. Certainly not anything about the probate process in Florida.
Yeah. So Renee and Zach connected and have, she's helping him get to that 90% of fruit left on the tree.
Awesome.
All right. Who else? Elle, I'm really glad to see that you're reaching out, and you. So you guys, I got kind of tough with Elle last week because of her little voice, but she took action on that too. She's actually going to visit Sylvana, who was the attorney that we interviewed. And more importantly, she said in her direct message to me, she's taking her a referral. So Elle, let's hear about that if you want to talk today.
Yeah, well, you guys really lifted me up last week. Tough times, but we're also hustling, which is the most important point. Question, and this is on a reverse mortgage case, not a probate. I don't know, I'm picking someone's brain in this session in reference of reverse mortgage. Got the actually the owner didn't pay the mortgage. So basically it did not accelerate. So basically HUD took over this property, but it's not in public records and it's been months. Anyone in the group has any knowledge? And I thought about contacting the reverse mortgage guy in Palm Beach. That's
Jason. Yep. He's right there too.
Yeah, my question is there any possibility for this still seller on public records to basically get to sell this property? I'm sorry.
So there's a lot of detail, a lot of questions I have. So I'm going to operate on some assumptions here that because the lender is moving to foreclose, that probably means that whoever the mortgagee is deceased or has moved out of the house. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And has that been more than 6 months ago?
Yes, that's a killer.
Okay. Then they have the right to foreclose. Is there equity?
Yes.
Okay. And the mortgagee, the one that moved out, are they alive?
She's alive, 80 years old. I'm meeting with her on Thursday.
Okay. So there's two people that you could get involved, and I'll let you base this on your existing relationships. Your only real play here is to attempt to get an injunction. And you can do that by contacting a real estate attorney or potentially a elder care attorney.
Yes, Sylvana.
Yeah. So Sylvana she even does pro bono work in that space. So she's fierce and she's hungry. She's got a new firm, and she's got an affinity for the elderly population and to make sure people aren't put in positions like this. So I would say she might be your best bet. That's a fresh relationship, and you're kind of bringing her a challenge right off the get go. But I think she likes it. But I mean, your best chance here is to try to get an injunction, argue to the court that the family is going to suffer a significant loss of equity.
Actually, she got cancer. This person got cancer. That there were different situations that it's just a very scary case.
Yep. Well, the defense that, is going to argue on behalf of the mortgage company that, hey, this is a business relationship. Life happens, things happen. We took a risk and now we have to recover the asset because that risk has come back on us. So it's a matter of arguing what's right from a moral standpoint and what's right from a business standpoint. So it's not so black and white that I can say, I promise if you do this, the sale will be stopped. I mean, the quickest way to stop the sale is to go sell the asset, like list it, get it under contract and get it closed as fast as possible. But oftentimes you need to do that with an investor at a less than retail price. So if there's enough equity that you can do that and sell it at 70 cents on the dollar or a price that will motivate someone to close within the time frame before it's scheduled for sale, then the best thing to do is blow it out for a discount price and get it done.
There's like 200,000 equity on this property.
So, I mean, you could drop the price 100,000, put it out to market, and as is, where is, needs to close inside of 14 days. And you're going to run away most of your conventional buyers, but you'll find an investor or a conventional buyer who's been sitting in cash, not finding the inventory they're looking for. So that's the easiest way out. If she wants to try to retain all $200,000 in equity, then you might need to slow things down.
She doesn't want to. She say, I just want my name clear. I'm tired of this. It ruined my life. This is a very sad case.
So
Very sad.
what's the timeline, Elle? When is there a sale scheduled?
I think we have like 2 months.
Oh, hell's bells. You can take this sub2 and refinance it. And
That's what I thought.
yeah, I mean, honestly, go to an investor who understands their risk. You need to understand the foreclosure timeline, but you could come in and buy it for cash and be done, and the whole situation's resolved. You could also come in and buy it subject to the existing lien staying in place, get the 200, that purchaser for the risk they're taking gets $200,000 in equity. What's the property condition? Is it really bad or pretty
Well,
decent?
she told me that she was at the property 2 months ago and it looked okay. She actually she got new appliances, but there's an unpermitted issue. The HOA, the homeowners association, it's like not even 10,000 that it's owed.
Okay.
And this is also interesting. The attorney does not contact her anymore, and it's confusing. And I'm talking to an 80-year-old on the phone. It's not the same thing as getting personal and getting all the documentation, which I will be doing this Thursday. But I'm just trying to understand who has the right to take this property. She's a victim of fraud, literally.
So when you're arguing from that moral side that I referenced earlier, it's easy to say that. But if you were the lender, you would have a different perspective. If you were owed that money and you agreed to something knowing, I know the possible risks, and the other person should have known their possible risks too. Maybe I get cancer. I don't have life insurance, or I don't have terminal illness insurance. So should I take on debt that I might not be able to repay without having proper insurance to cover that debt in case the worst case scenario happens? So don't forget that she had an obligation to assess her own risk and plan accordingly, and the lender had the same. It doesn't make them the devil because they're looking to recover an asset. It's a liability on their balance sheet, and they're trying to do something about that. It sometimes seems unfair, but they both agreed. They signed paperwork and they did it in the presence of an attorney. So demonizing them won't help. The play I see here is you have a 60-day window for an investor who understands subject to investing to come in, pick up the asset, get a tenant, pay the $10,000 in addition to the closing cost. If she doesn't want anything, he can get into this deal for the closing cost and $10,000. Let's round up and say it's $15,000 is all it takes to take ownership of $200,000 in equity. Is there anyone on this call that wouldn't trade me 15 grand for 200 grand in a day? Dave Wynn, did you accidentally raise your hand, or are you?
Yeah.
No, the play here, L, is have the investor step in, take the asset as is, where is, subject to the existing lien staying in place. They immediately do whatever rehab they need to do, get a tenant in place, which should take like a day to get it rented. And then they go to a debt service coverage ratio lender, a DSCR lender. Usually they could go to the commercial side of a community bank and just say, hey, I got a tenant in place. Here's the rent they're paying. Here's proof. I'd like to, and as long as that debt service coverage ratio is more than 1.3, or some, every bank, not every bank's different, but it's usually between 1.25 and 1.33, which in today's market with rents where they are, almost every house qualifies. But worst case scenario, lenders will ask for 2 months of rent, but there are hard money lenders right there in your state. I can introduce you to some lenders that do DSCR loans. Bo Eckstein, it's not on our YouTube channel, but if you search Chad Corbett, Bo Eckstein, BeauEckstein, we actually had, he is a lender that I was on his podcast recently, and he can do DSCR loans like that in all 50 states, I believe. So he could refinance your investor out of that deal without 2 months of rent history. He could do it the day. I have other friends who are right there in Florida, that like up in the Jacksonville area. Kat, if you're on here, could you please drop a link to the Bo Eckstein episode for L? But I think that's your play. You go out to your investors, you got a $15,000 outlay for $200,000 in equity and a cash out refi, or a cash acquisition with a HELOC application inside of 60 days, and you're clear. You're good.
Yeah, actually, I thought about doing subject to now big points, and you didn't know this is in a senior community, and actually it's in a nice area.
So as an investor, as a Florida investor, perfect, because I'm going to get a higher tenant profile with less of a pain in the ass, and I'll be able to rent it in a day, because there are at least 47
Plenty. Yeah,
47 New Yorkers a day are trying
Yeah.
to move to that
Yeah.
county, rent something.
thank you.
That, to me, that's just a bonus. It's just, do you have a good, I mean, I know you go to real estate investor events and you have a pretty good network of investors, right?
Yeah, but I will need some in the new process right now to be an investor. So finally bought my house last year on my own. I think that I can pull it.
Do the deal.
Okay.
You've done the work, and she trusts you to do this. She's told you she doesn't want anything other than away from the problem. Like, this is your opportunity to turn 15 grand into 200 with very little risk, in my opinion.
What is even crazier about this case is that she knows my youngest daughter, and she knows some history from my other side of the family. So she's thrilled to meet me. Let's see how that goes. Thank you, guys.
When you meet with Silvana, one thing I want you to talk to her about is you being the principal in this deal, and her making sure she covers your asset.
I already did.
Perfect. So I want you to be comfortable. She'll make sure that you don't steer yourself into unnavigable waters, but I think you should do this deal yourself. Like,
Okay.
You've got rapport with the seller, you've got 15 grand. And I mean, just think about what if you did this deal and did a refi 90 days from now, and you had 185,000 in cash from this conversation.
Yeah, my biggest concern is definitely the unpermitted issues, which I deal with that in the past. I gotta get more of the ugly part of the whole story on Thursday, then I guess I will make the move. But I appreciate the investors that you have friends in the area. I'm willing to share this obviously as well.
Yeah. Well, let me know if you need help. I mean, I have people who would probably step up and do that deal in the Miami market, and they'll have the liquidity to do it with her today if you really need to. But I would rather see you not pass on this one. I'd love to see you step into this one and be a senior landlord for long enough that you could hold it forever and just enjoy the cash flow, and then put a commercial, or either, depending on how you buy it, you could put a home equity line of credit or a commercial line of credit against the asset to get access to the majority of that 200,000 in equity. And you can also begin to cross collateralize, like that becomes that 200 grand books on your balance sheet the day you close. So this could be a really, really good springboard for you to come into investing with $185,000 net on your very first deal. That's a fun story to tell.
Well, it's much more than that because for her, due to her age, she plays cards, and I know that's going to be spraying. So let's see how that goes. I'm excited.
Awesome. Great job finding that one out. All right. Cat must be multitasking. Oh, we'll try to drop in the show notes. We'll drop that episode. It's Bo Eckstein. If you want to just search YouTube, you should be able to find that. But he is able to do DSCR loans, and they have long-term loans. All right. Well, I think that this is a wrap for today, guys. Thanks so much. Like, these calls are, it always surprises me how interesting. How we always burn through an hour. It feels like it was 2 minutes ago. We just started that. So thank you guys for being here and being part of the community, and always being part of a really engaging, fun conversation. And have a great day. And we'll see you next week. Same time, same place.